global media attention is once again fixed on two of the most recognizable names in entertainment and sports. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, a high-profile couple bridging the worlds of global pop music and professional American football, are now facing mounting public and media pressure as their relationship continues under intense scrutiny. From the moment their connection became public, the relationship evolved into a cultural phenomenon. Taylor Swift's appearances at NFL games were no longer seen as private gestures of support, but as major media events. Television ratings surged, online searches spiked, and Travis Kelce's name trended far beyond sports headlines. Within days, their relationship became one of the most searched celebrity topics worldwide. Yet behind the viral clips and celebratory headlines, a more complicated reality has taken shape. Sources close to both figures suggest that the relentless exposure has begun to influence their daily lives. Every public appearance, every smile, and every absence has been dissected and interpreted as a sign of the relationship's health. Entertainment media outlets, driven by demand and algorithms, have amplified speculation at an unprecedented pace. Taylor Swift, long known for her ability to shape her own narrative through music and storytelling, is now navigating a situation where public interpretation often moves faster than artistic expression. Her personal life, historically intertwined with public curiosity, has once again become a central focus. This time, however, the scale is different, magnified by social media cycles and real-time commentary. For Travis Kelce, the pressure has arrived from a new direction. As one of the NFL's most prominent athletes, his performances on the field are now frequently analyzed alongside his personal life. Touchdowns, interviews, and even post-game reactions are increasingly framed within the context of his relationship, adding a layer of expectation that extends beyond the sport itself. As attention intensified, questions began circulating among fans and analysts alike. Could a relationship of this magnitude survive under constant observation? History offers mixed answers. Numerous high-profile couples have struggled when private moments became public property, not due to a lack of commitment, but because of the weight of external narratives imposed upon them. Midway through the season, tension within the public discourse increased. Taylor Swift's demanding global schedule and Travis Kelce's competitive calendar fueled speculation about distance and time constraints. Periods without public appearances together quickly became headlines. Silence was interpreted as trouble. The story gained momentum, keeping audiences engaged and waiting for a defining moment. Then came a noticeable shift. Rather than addressing rumors directly or issuing public statements, both Swift and Kelce appeared to pull back. Public commentary was reduced. Media exposure became more controlled. The change was subtle but deliberate, signaling a possible decision to reclaim personal boundaries. Observers of celebrity culture have described this approach as strategic restraint. In an environment that rewards oversharing and dramatic revelation, choosing consistency over spectacle can itself be a powerful statement. Their interactions, when visible, appeared grounded and understated, supportive without theatrics, present without performance. As speculation reached its peak, many anticipated a dramatic turning point, a confirmation, a denial, or a public declaration designed to reset the narrative. Instead, what followed was something quieter. Stability, no grand gestures, no crisis headlines, just continuity. This moment marked a form of payoff that defied typical celebrity storytelling. Rather than delivering drama, the couple offered persistence. In a media landscape built on extremes, the absence of chaos became the most notable development of all. The ongoing story of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce has now taken on a broader meaning. It is no longer viewed solely as a celebrity romance, but as a case study in how public figures navigate visibility, expectation, and autonomy in the digital age. Their choices highlight the tension between personal reality and public consumption, where even restraint can become a headline. As of now, their relationship continues without definitive statements or conclusions. Media interest remains high, and public attention shows no sign of fading. Each appearance, or lack thereof, continues to generate discussion. The spotlight remains firmly in place. What comes next is still unfolding. But one thing is clear: Under constant observation and relentless commentary, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce have chosen to move forward on their own terms. And in an era where attention is currency, that decision alone ensures the story is far from over. As public fascination continues to build, industry insiders note that the scale of attention surrounding Swift and Kelce is no longer comparable to standard celebrity coverage. This is a convergence of two massive fan ecosystems, global pop culture loyalists and one of the most commercially powerful sports audiences in the world. The result is a feedback loop where visibility fuels engagement, and engagement fuels even more scrutiny. Marketing analysts have pointed out that the relationship has had measurable ripple effects beyond entertainment news. NFL broadcasts featuring Kelce experienced increased female viewership, while Swift-related content saw renewed engagement from sports audiences previously outside her core demographic. This crossover effect has turned what began as a personal relationship into a case study in modern media influence, blurring the line between private life and public impact. Despite this, those close to the situation emphasize that neither Swift nor Kelce has attempted to capitalize overtly on the attention. There have been no joint interviews, no coordinated social media messaging, and no commercial collaborations tied to their relationship. In an era where visibility is often monetized instantly, this restraint stands out. Behind the scenes, the pressure is understood to be ongoing. Security considerations have reportedly increased. Travel logistics have become more complex. Even casual moments now require layers of planning. For Swift, whose career has long required navigating intense public interest, the challenge lies in balancing creative focus with personal presence. For Kelce, whose professional performance depends on physical and mental precision, the challenge is maintaining competitive focus amid constant narrative noise. Media experts suggest that the current phase represents a critical inflection point. The initial novelty has passed. The viral excitement has settled into sustained observation. It is at this stage, when attention becomes routine rather than celebratory, that many high-profile relationships face their greatest tests. The audience no longer reacts with surprise, but with expectation. Yet, there are indicators that both individuals are adapting. Swift has continued to deliver consistent performances, while Kelce's on-field output remains largely unaffected by external speculation. This continuity has prompted a shift in tone among some commentators, moving from prediction of collapse to cautious acknowledgement of stability. Still, the narrative remains fragile. In the digital era, perception can pivot instantly. A single image, a missed appearance, or an ambiguous quote can reignite speculation. Algorithms reward uncertainty, and silence often creates more questions than answers. As a result, the absence of definitive messaging keeps public interest suspended in a state of anticipation. Cultural observers argue that this dynamic reflects a broader trend in celebrity coverage. Audiences no longer wait for official statements. They construct meaning from fragments. Body language, timing, and context are analyzed with forensic intensity. Swift and Kelce exist within this environment not as participants in the conversation, but as its subjects. What distinguishes this situation, however, is the apparent refusal to let external momentum dictate internal decisions. Rather than accelerating visibility to satisfy demand, both appear to be slowing the narrative. Fewer appearances, fewer reactions, a deliberate narrowing of what is shared publicly. This approach carries risks. Reduced visibility can invite more speculation. Silence can be framed as tension, yet it also offers control, an opportunity to prevent the story from being entirely shaped by outside voices. In that sense, the strategy reflects an understanding of modern media dynamics rather than avoidance of them. As weeks pass, attention remains steady rather than explosive. The relationship has moved from headline shock to ongoing coverage. It is no longer treated as a sudden development, but as an evolving situation. That transition, according to analysts, may be the most telling indicator of longevity. For fans, the intrigue lies not in dramatic revelations, but in what remains unsaid. For media outlets, the challenge is sustaining engagement without access. And for Swift and Kelce themselves, the task is continuing forward under conditions where privacy is not absent, but negotiated. At this stage, no definitive outcome is visible. There is no confirmation of escalation, no indication of retreat. Only continuity. In the context of celebrity culture, that alone is notable. The story of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce now exists in a space between public consumption and private reality. It reflects how modern relationships, especially those involving global figures, are no longer lived solely by the people within them, but observed, interpreted, and archived in real time. As long as the spotlight remains, the narrative will continue to evolve. The public will watch, the media will analyze, and each new chapter, whether marked by presence or absence, will add another layer to a story defined as much by restraint as by attention. For now, the relationship moves forward without spectacle, under constant observation, and with no clear endpoint in sight. In a culture driven by immediacy and excess, that quiet persistence may be the most unexpected development of all. As the narrative stretches further into the public eye, media analysts note that the Swift-Kelce relationship has entered what is often considered the most unforgiving phase of fame-driven scrutiny: normalization. The shock value has faded, but the attention has not. Instead, it has settled into something more constant, more invasive, and far harder to escape. Every movement is no longer breaking news, it is expected news. At this stage, the relationship is no longer fueled by novelty, but by endurance. Public interest is sustained not by explosive moments, but by the question of longevity. Can two individuals operating at the absolute peak of their respective industries maintain emotional stability while existing inside a permanently open narrative loop? Industry observers point out that Swift and Kelce are now functioning within a media ecosystem that thrives on microsignals. A delayed arrival, a missed game, a tour stop without a familiar face in the crowd. These fragments are enough to reignite discourse, producing waves of speculation that travel faster than any factual clarification could. What complicates the situation further is the sheer scale of both brands involved. Taylor Swift is not just a recording artist. She is a global cultural force whose actions influence markets, trends, and public conversation. Travis Kelce is not simply an athlete. He is a flagship figure in a league that dominates American sports media. Together, they represent a convergence of influence rarely seen, and that convergence magnifies pressure at every level. Behind the scenes, those familiar with celebrity risk management suggest that decisions once considered personal now require strategic consideration. Travel routes, event attendance, and public visibility are all evaluated not only for safety, but for narrative impact. In such an environment, spontaneity becomes a liability. Yet despite these constraints, both figures continue to project steadiness in their professional domains. Swift's performances remain meticulously executed, commanding massive audiences night after night. Kelce continues to deliver consistent results on the field, maintaining his competitive edge amid distractions that would sideline many athletes. This professional continuity has become a key counterpoint to speculation. Cultural commentators argue that this is where the story gains depth. Rather than collapsing under pressure or escalating into spectacle, the relationship appears to be absorbing the weight and redistributing it quietly. There is no visible rebellion against attention, but neither is there surrender to it. The media response to this restraint has been mixed. Some outlets interpret it as maturity. Others frame it as distance. In a landscape driven by interpretation, ambiguity becomes a canvas onto which audiences project their own expectations. The lack of definitive statements ensures that the conversation never fully resolves. This unresolved state is precisely what sustains engagement. Without a clear narrative turn, no breakup, no announcement, no dramatic milestone, the story remains perpetually in progress. Each week becomes a holding pattern of anticipation, keeping the topic relevant without requiring new information. Experts in digital culture note that this phenomenon reflects a broader shift in how modern fame operates. Stories no longer need conclusions to remain active. They only need continuity. Swift and Kelce now exist inside a form of serialized attention, where presence alone is enough to maintain relevance. At the same time, public sentiment has begun to subtly evolve. Early reactions driven by excitement have given way to more measured observation. The audience is no longer asking, "Is this real?" but rather, "How long can this last?" That shift marks a turning point from curiosity to assessment. Still, the pressure does not dissipate. If anything, it becomes more refined. The absence of drama raises stakes instead of lowering them. Each calm moment increases expectations for a future disruption. Silence is no longer neutral. It is charged. For Swift, whose career has been shaped by cycles of public interpretation, this environment is familiar but intensified. For Kelce, the experience represents a relatively new layer of exposure, one that extends beyond the stadium and into global pop discourse. Their ability to navigate this asymmetry has become another focal point of analysis. What remains striking is the absence of narrative escalation. No public conflict, no reactive messaging, no attempts to redirect attention through spectacle. In an attention economy that rewards extremes, this refusal to perform becomes its own form of resistance. As time passes, the relationship's significance continues to shift. It is no longer just a story about romance. It has become a reference point in discussions about modern celebrity boundaries, media saturation, and the cost of visibility at scale. The individuals involved are still central, but the implications extend far beyond them. The future trajectory remains uncertain. Schedules will change. Seasons will end. Projects will conclude. Each transition introduces new variables, new opportunities for interpretation. Whether the relationship adapts, transforms, or concludes, it will do so under conditions of unparalleled observation. For now, the story persists without resolution. The spotlight remains fixed. The public continues to watch not for confirmation, but for endurance. And in that sustained attention lies the true tension of the narrative. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce move forward in parallel, highly visible, carefully measured, and acutely aware that every step is part of a larger story still being written. In an era where fame accelerates and burns quickly, their quiet continuation stands out as both unexpected and deeply compelling. And as long as that balance holds, the story will remain exactly where it is now. Unfinished, closely watched, and impossible to ignore. As the weeks continue to pass, the public narrative surrounding Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce shows no signs of slowing down. Instead, it has settled into a prolonged phase of observation, where absence is as meaningful as presence and restraint generates as much discussion as spectacle. In the modern media cycle, this sustained attention is rare, and it signals that the story has evolved beyond a fleeting trend. Media monitoring firms report that mentions of both names remain consistently high across news platforms, social media, and search engines. Unlike viral moments that spike and disappear, this coverage maintains a steady rhythm. Analysts attribute this to the open-ended nature of the story. There is no clear arc, no defined resolution, and no official narrative to anchor public interpretation. As a result, the conversation renews itself daily. Entertainment journalists note that this dynamic places Swift and Kelce in a unique position. They are not reacting to events. They are becoming the event. Their normal professional routines, concerts, games, travel, are now reframed as chapters in an ongoing public storyline. What would otherwise be routine becomes symbolic under the weight of attention. At the same time, industry insiders emphasize that the lack of public escalation should not be mistaken for stagnation. On the contrary, maintaining stability under such scrutiny requires constant recalibration. Boundaries must be reinforced quietly. Decisions must be filtered through layers of consideration. The effort is invisible, but its effects are evident in the consistency of their public conduct. Observers have also pointed out a shift in audience behavior. Early enthusiasm was marked by celebration and excitement. Now, engagement is driven more by analysis than emotion. Fans and commentators dissect timelines, compare schedules, and draw conclusions from patterns. The relationship has become a subject of study rather than surprise. This analytical turn has further extended the lifespan of the narrative. Each new data point, whether a performance date or a game appearance, feeds into a broader framework of interpretation. The story no longer depends on dramatic events. It depends on continuity. From a media economics perspective, the Swift-Kelce phenomenon illustrates how sustained ambiguity can outperform spectacle. Outlets no longer compete to break news, but to contextualize silence. Headlines increasingly focus on what is not said, what is not shown, and what is deliberately withheld. This inversion of traditional coverage reflects changing audience appetites. Cultural critics argue that this moment represents a test of endurance rather than passion. Relationships under extreme visibility are often undone not by conflict, but by fatigue. The constant need to manage perception can erode even the strongest foundations. Whether Swift and Kelce can avoid that outcome remains an open question. What is clear is that both individuals continue to prioritize their professional responsibilities without visible disruption. Swift's performances retain their scale and precision. Kelce's competitive focus remains intact. This dual stability has challenged early predictions that the attention would become unmanageable. Still, the margin for error remains narrow. A single misinterpreted moment could recalibrate the entire narrative. In an environment driven by immediacy, correction often arrives too late to undo initial impressions. The risk is ever present. As the relationship persists, its symbolic value grows. It has become a lens through which broader issues are examined. The limits of privacy, the consequences of scale, and the tension between authenticity and visibility. The individuals at the center are still living their lives, but the story has expanded into something larger. For now, there is no climax, no turning point, no defining statement. There is only continuation. And in the current media landscape, continuation itself is the hook. The public remains attentive. The media remains invested. And the story of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce continues to unfold in real time, measured, unresolved, and firmly under the brightest spotlight modern fame can produce. As the narrative carries forward, what becomes increasingly apparent is that the relationship is no longer being consumed as entertainment alone, but as a living example of how modern fame operates under constant surveillance. Swift and Kelce are no longer simply two public figures dating. They have become symbols within a larger discussion about visibility, control, and endurance in the digital era. Media scholars point out that the current phase represents a rare equilibrium. Public interest remains high, yet there is no clear conflict to propel the story forward. This creates a state of suspended momentum, where anticipation replaces action. The audience stays engaged not because something is happening, but because something might happen at any moment. This sense of anticipation is amplified by the silence from both parties. In an age where public figures are expected to narrate their own lives through social media, the absence of direct commentary feels deliberate. Each unposted update, each skipped interview, reinforces the perception that boundaries are being actively maintained rather than passively ignored. From a news perspective, this restraint complicates coverage. Without direct access or confirmation, outlets rely on patterns, timing, and indirect indicators. Coverage shifts from reporting events to interpreting behavior. This interpretive reporting, while speculative, continues to fuel engagement because it offers audiences a sense of participation in decoding the story. At the same time, the broader cultural context cannot be ignored. Swift's career has long existed at the intersection of art and public narrative, while Kelce's role in professional sports places him within a results-driven, highly scrutinized environment. The overlap of these worlds creates a constant tension between emotional storytelling and performance-based evaluation. As the months progress, attention increasingly turns towards sustainability. Can this balance be maintained indefinitely? Industry veterans suggest that endurance, not intensity, is the true challenge of high-profile relationships. The longer a story remains unresolved, the more pressure accumulates for a defining moment, whether intended or not. Yet, there is also a growing recognition that this very lack of resolution may be intentional. By refusing to accelerate the narrative, Swift and Kelce effectively slow the consumption cycle. Without peaks or collapses, the story resists being neatly packaged and moved on from. It lingers. This lingering quality has altered public expectations. Instead of waiting for dramatic announcements, audiences now track consistency. Regularity becomes reassurance. Absence becomes a variable rather than a conclusion. The relationship exists in a state of monitored normalcy, an uncommon position in celebrity culture. Analysts note that this approach may signal a broader shift in how public figures manage personal narratives. Rather than confronting speculation head-on or feeding it with controlled disclosures, withholding becomes the strategy. Silence, once seen as vulnerability, now functions as leverage. Still, the environment remains unforgiving. The scale of attention ensures that no action is neutral. Every choice carries interpretive weight. The absence of drama does not eliminate risk. It merely redistributes it over time. As of now, there are no indications of a turning point. No escalation, no retreat, only continuation. And in that continuation lies the true tension that keeps the story alive. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce continue forward under a spotlight that shows no signs of dimming. Their relationship remains unresolved in the public imagination, not because of secrecy, but because of discipline. In a culture that demands constant revelation, their refusal to provide one ensures that attention remains fixed. The story persists not as a headline moment, but as an ongoing presence, quiet, controlled, and endlessly observed. And as long as that balance holds, the narrative will continue to stretch forward, chapter by chapter, without conclusion. As time advances, the relationship continues to exist in a prolonged state of public observation that few modern figures have managed to sustain without collapse or reinvention. What was once framed as a surprising crossover between pop superstardom and elite sports has now matured into something far more complex. A long-running narrative shaped as much by restraint as by presence. Media researchers highlight that sustained visibility without escalation is one of the hardest positions to maintain in contemporary fame culture. Audiences are conditioned to expect turning points, announcements, conflicts, declarations, or endings. When those moments do not arrive, tension does not dissolve. It compounds. The story becomes elastic, stretching further with each passing week. This elasticity has kept Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce at the center of conversation even when neither actively seeks attention. The absence of direct statements forces interpretation to fill the gap. Analysts note that this dynamic mirrors the behavior of serialized storytelling, where delayed payoff increases emotional investment. The longer the audience waits, the higher the perceived stakes become. Within media circles, the relationship is now frequently cited as an example of ambient celebrity, a form of fame where relevance is maintained not through constant output, but through continuous awareness. Swift and Kelce do not dominate headlines daily, yet they are never far from them. Their names resurface organically, attached to performances, games, schedules, and subtle overlaps. This persistence has also influenced how other public figures approach exposure. Strategists observe a growing interest in controlled visibility rather than saturation. In that sense, the Swift-Kelce dynamic is shaping not only coverage but industry behavior. Silence, once interpreted as disengagement, is increasingly viewed as intentional narrative management. Still, the human element remains central. Beneath the analysis, there are two individuals operating under extraordinary conditions. The logistical demands alone, security, travel coordination, scheduling, introduce friction into any personal connection. Layered atop that is the psychological weight of knowing that every public action may be archived, analyzed, and debated indefinitely. Experts in performance psychology note that sustained scrutiny can subtly alter decision-making. Choices that might once have been instinctive become calculated. Emotional responses are filtered. Over time, this can create distance not only from the public, but from one's own experience. Navigating that tension requires constant self-awareness. Yet outwardly, there is little indication of strain. Swift continues to command massive crowds with precision and control, her performances reflecting focus rather than distraction. Kelce maintains his competitive rhythm, showing no visible decline in discipline or drive. This professional steadiness continues to challenge assumptions that personal exposure inevitably leads to disruption. As a result, the narrative surrounding the relationship has gradually shifted tone. Early coverage emphasized novelty and excitement. Later phases focused on pressure and speculation. Now, the dominant theme is endurance. The question is no longer whether the attention is overwhelming, but whether it can be sustained indefinitely without forcing a decisive moment. Cultural commentators suggest that